and no.
Always represent the brand. Always put the brand out.
We're live. We're live. Oh my god.
Welcome to the Mid-Geek crisis. If it was not for the last minute, we would never have the time to get things done. Right? That's
that's motto to live by.
There you go. Let's roll the credits and kick this off.
Let's kick this off right. Let's just roll the credits and this is something. He disapproves.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Old man yells at clouds. Oh boy, welcome to the Mid-Geek Crisis, episode 119, right? Did I get that right? Yes, episode 119.
119. Hey, thanks for jumping on, Adam.
Oh man. What a week.
Joe's still trying to get everything in his sock.
You're gonna have to reel me in a little bit this episode, but I need
Why? Do you have a lot to talk about?
I need you to moderate me. There's a lot of rage in my heart.
There's
rage. And
it has been a wild week. I've been on vacation today. I started my vacation today, and it's been very relaxing. So we had a nice 70-degree day. We're gonna get snow on Wednesday, so tomorrow. So it's a nice.
Nothing
swing.
says Easter and like looking for eggs in snow. For sure.
Easter Bunny's wearing gloves and a nice scarf.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
We wouldn't have it any other way.
What's got your ire up right now? Yeah, rant time. That's what I'm
gonna wait for the cheap seats to come in. Like everyone to come in and gonna pull up a chair. I think my rants tend to be a little long-winded and whatnot. I'm gonna run out and grab my cup of coffee. My coffee was brewing and I couldn't make it, so. I'll leave you for a couple seconds in a minute, but I'm not.
Oh no, he's gonna leave me with the show and put me in charge.
Put you in charge for a couple seconds. But yeah, no. I mean, we'll talk about it in a little bit. I definitely want to get into the PlayStation debacle, the Sony just killing its store off in August. I think.
Okay. The PlayStation Vita store.
Well, it's Vita, PlayStation 3, and PSP.
We talked about that last week, though, right?
Well, we talked about that. We talked about it. It was all rumored at that point. It looks like someone had found maybe an internal memo somewhere and had
got put out there. And now it's official.
Well, Sony then, instead of seeing the anger and backlash of its community, and taking a positive spin by going, hey, there's going to be a way to do it. No, they just agreed with everything and is going that way. It's a little more.
Go get your coffee before you get too stoked. Go get your coffee.
I'm gonna leave you.
We'll talk about some other stuff.
Leave you a full screen.
Oh no! So now I'm at full screen. You all can see me up close. You can see the mess. There's my PlayStation right there. You can see that enormous PlayStation. Yeah, thanks for jumping on, Pergamine. So all sorts of stuff going on here. Joe just needs to go get some coffee, so he's coming back. He didn't want to leave an empty seat, so he's left me here by myself. Facebook user, you might have to log into the service for StreamYard for us to see your face. But yeah, Invincible is a great decoration, and I haven't seen it close up. He has not dropped Adam. He just removed himself from the stream so that he could go get his coffee. Yeah, so hot under the collar, he raged quit. We've actually been talking all week about everything that has left him angry and upset. For me, I feel like I've had a great week. I've got some folks running a role-playing game where I get to be the player. Pergamine, if I'm gonna call you out here. Thanks for running that City of Mist game. I can't wait to start it up. I've been thinking about it all week. For folks that don't know, City of Mist is a pretty neat. What is it called? Powered by the Apocalypse game, and it's neat. It's got sort of a magical noir comic book feeling, and that's what I'm playing as a player. Which is interesting because I have to step back and let the game master run the game, and so that's what I've been doing.
Well, thinking about.
So Pergamine is going to be running a game for me and our game group here in Syracuse, the locals. So gaming with the locals, and he's running a game, City of Mist, so not D&D. It's a neat powered by the Apocalypse game. So instead of having stats, you've got tags, and you got to use your vocabulary to make actions happen and stuff like that. So it's going to be a blast, as Pergamene says, and I'm super excited for it. So I'm super. I haven't been a player in like a year and a half almost.
Yeah, you got to get out of that DM mentality, right?
Got to get out of the DM mentality. Let folks shine on their own and things like that. So it's going to be cool.
Yeah. Cool. So
thanks for making me fill 4 minutes of dead time. Appreciate it.
No, absolutely. It kind of keeps you on your toes for a little bit.
It really is. I had nothing prepared.
Yeah. So let's talk before we jump into the bigger rant of the show, because I mean it's definitely something I got to get it out. But I definitely want to. Oh yeah, and Kirk. By the way, this is Kirk that posted this. Is that Invincible is a great show. I mean, I don't know, have you caught any of it?
Where can I watch it?
Amazon.
Oh, it's on Prime? Okay, yeah. So I'll catch it.
So it's an episode every Friday, but they dropped the first 3 episodes.
Oh, that's the way to do it.
And the episodes are like 45 minutes long.
Nice.
So that's...
It's a cartoon, though, right?
Yes.
Okay,
all right. But don't watch it with kids.
Okay, that's fine. But
I mean,
like
it's
an adult cartoon, is what it sounds like.
Very
but
much.
Not like
I mean, remember,
heavy metal.
This is from the minds of Robert Kirkman.
Oh, okay, all right, I can get behind it.
So, I mean, if you're used to the gore and blood and visceralness of The Walking Dead, that's what you get in Invincible.
All right.
Salute.
Thank you. Oof.
But yeah, that was great. I watched the first 3 episodes, and it's amazing.
Cool.
When it comes down to art, story, pacing, I mean, they did a great job. J.K. Simmons plays Omni-Man, plays his father, and it's great casting. Great casting all around on that show. I can't emphasize enough.
Okay, all right. I'm excited to watch it.
Check it out.
J.K. is in this soul. There goes Pergamene.
Yeah, I know, right? J.K. Simmons is, I mean, come on. Yeah, when he's not selling you insurance or yelling or asking for pictures of Spider-Man, he's tearing people in half.
Oh, is that J.K. Simmons? All right. Awesome. All right, I'm down with it.
So let's talk about a little bit of our post today on our group. I saw that you ended up posting, and again I gotta apologize. Your post made me remember to post my post.
Yeah, your style of this is bold.
Sorry.
This is a competition.
I know.
You're like, I'm just gonna hold on to all these victories until I throw them all at once.
I'm holding on my victory points. You know, hey, you're still ahead of me. You're still ahead of me by 1.
It's content, man. If you post 1 at a time, we get eyes. If you post 7 at one post, come on.
You are absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. If for anyone not paying attention, here on the show we have a kind of a competition / challenge to each other. Mm-hmm. We are trying to do 52 games in 52 weeks.
Yes,
and that was kind of a self-imposed challenge. I felt like I didn't get to, even though I had all this time on my hands all last year, I really didn't get through any video games. And I said to myself at the beginning of the year, you know what? I've got a backlog. There's tons of games I've been wanting to play.
More than 52 games, let's be honest.
More than 52 games, of course. I've got a giant backlog, but I felt this was the year to kind of sit down and play some of those games that I hadn't played or been wanting to play, or games that are coming out that I'm like looking forward to and making me maybe actually make a commitment to play.
Which is good.
So I'm up to 11. Pedro's up to 12.
I'm up to 12, yeah.
He's been kind of consuming the games as they come into the Game Pass, which is fantastic. I have been hitting the backlog on a lot of retro, just because, again, I'm a retro gamer.
You're a retro gamer. You're much more on the retro stuff. Joe and the disco lights in the background, yep.
Yeah, I apologize. So my LED strip up top has a box, a control box. And I have the remote in my drawer, and I'm going to find it in a second without trying to make too much noise. But what happens is the remote for my TV, the volume up changes the mode on my lights. So if I turn up the volume on my TV, it messes with the lights. I'm like, crap.
Yeah, hashtag 31st century problems, right?
Yeah, hashtag 31st century problems, exactly.
Come on, get
it together.
Yeah, I grew up, I mean, this is going to sound so late, but I grew up in such a bad neighborhood, I just thought it was police lights outside. Police lights? Just running. Yeah, I didn't even think about it.
How that's very urban of you, for sure. For sure.
This is astounding. Yeah, it is.
Aha! Found it. Parkour! Haha! Look at that. There we go. No distracting
right,
blinking. Thank you. There we go.
Adam says he quit episode 1 of Invincible at the trick title card and was very confused and I had to go back and was shocked.
Yeah.
So there's stuff going on there. Awesome. Cool. I like the lights flashing, like the lady. He can actually change it with the mood. We should
like just I'm gonna go angry.
I got to set this up in here. That's what I got to do. We color code our light system. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Or an alarm system when I go on a rant. So.
That's true. And I can just hit a button and it shut the lights off on you, so you calm down.
Actually, you can literally just pull me off the street.
That's true. I could. I would never abuse that power, sir. Never. Never.
You should. That's very in your character.
No. But would I sync the lights up to that's the capitalism spirit.
That is true. We should definitely. I guess it would be. It would have to be like boom.
Yeah. The lights go. All right. I need to get on this. My site is dull and never updated. So there you go.
So you beat Empire of the Sun. I saw that was
Empire of Sin.
Empire of Sin. Sorry, Empire of Sin. And you had been playing that for a while. You were telling me that it was XCOM / Mafia / it was like 4 games in one, right?
Gangster, Mafia, economic sim with role playing elements, open world elements.
Now my question to you is: did the developer pull it off? Did you enjoy all the? No.
It was good. I could not stop playing. In fact, I actually started up a brand new game with a different gangster boss. So
then I guess the developer kind of did pull it off. But
the developer, have you ever I don't explain. Have you ever read something and been like, man, that was good, but it could have been so much better, but you still loved it? You're a Superman fan, so yeah, totally. You go and you walk out and you're like, that could have been better, but I still loved it. That's the way I felt about this.
Understood.
It didn't quite. All the parts are so interesting that it doesn't quite all come together at the
end. It's exactly in your genre. It's pizza, man. It's like someone serves you pizza and you're like, I like pizza. The cheese is good, but there's something up. You keep eating it. You're like it's still pizza, but
yeah, I can't stop.
Let me get another piece real quick. Now that I'm done with that one,
I'm not sure. I'm
going to order from them again. Let's make sure that they're.
That's exactly what I did. And it had one of the most abrupt endings of a game I ever. You go through this whole storyline for your gangster, and then it just sort of ends. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I guess maybe there's a lesson here. There's gratuitous violence. It's got everything. It's free on the Xbox Pass if you have it. Worth a checkout. Play it on easy. This way you don't have to struggle too hard because there are a lot of bugs that you might have to struggle through. But otherwise, I enjoyed it. I was happy to beat it. I'm playing it again.
Yeah, my games of the month have been Mario. You've
been playing them since February
15th when they released 3D World. I decided to dive in and play. I went through the entire 3D All-Star pack. So that's Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy is my favorite. I have never finished Sunshine. My sister, if my sister was here, she would tell you I'm infamous. There's one specific part on Sunshine that my save file for years had been stuck on. It's a particular moment where you have to. The level starts you off on a beach, and at the top of the beach there is a watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to roll the watermelon all the way down from the mountains and onto the beach to get it to the competition. You got to roll this watermelon to enter it, and it's the biggest watermelon. You win, right? The problem is all through it's actually like a big balloon of a watermelon, so anything will pop it.
Oh Lord.
And at the same time, there are these enemies in the game that they're like these blue ducks. They're like these blue waddling ducks, and if they walk up to they'll fling the watermelon up. So if you hit them with it, they fling it into the air and it pops it. And it's absolutely annoying. I hate it so much, and I remember rage quitting the game.
You just never came back.
Never came back to it. Yeah, so I finally beat that level. So I beat the game.
There you go.
And I posted it. But that's
what this is about. That's what this is about.
That was what it was about.
Games you wouldn't normally play.
I'd never seen the ending to it. Also, for anyone out there that has played Mario Sunshine or familiar, Mario Sunshine is one of the weirdest Mario games because everyone talks. Like actual voice acting, except Mario.
Does Mario just go, Mario?
He's just like, woohoo! You know, he does his normal...
Look at this. Sunshine is great. One of the only Mario games I've actually beaten.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's the game... It's the first 3D Mario game after Mario 64. So what's interesting about that one is it's Mario 64 is very blocky, very first generation 3D. And then the GameCube had really good graphics. So like... Then immediately you go to Sunshine as the next mainline Mario game. And it's just a huge generational gap. And it's a 5-year difference. So 96 to 2002 is the jump. And it's just years ahead in graphical power. But I never beat it, but everyone talks. And those voice actors were never used again because they're that bad. So like Peach or
you
Bowser...
You will never work in this industry again.
I think Nintendo really tried for that one. They were like...
They want to do like a Sonic thing? Why would they even try?
So what they did is usually it's like Peach will say like Mario, and then like a bunch of text will come up. Oh no! And then a bunch of text will come up. Bowser will just go raw raw, and then like text will come up. You know, like I'm gonna beat you, Mario. Raw.
Sure.
But this time around, he actually talks like oh no, Mario, I can't beat you. And it's like so weird. It just completely out of
your
the
Bowser
ordinary.
voice. Your Bowser voice is giving me chills.
I want to emphasize that my voice is better than the one chosen. It's that bad. So
that's
yeah.
Rough. But you got through it.
I got through it, and then I beat
unrelated. Empire Sin has terrible voice acting. Well, I shouldn't say that. The accents are a little borderline offensive. Like maybe you'll hear the accent, you'll be like, that French accent might be a little too...
So the developer of Empire of Sin has such a wild dev history. She was a lead writer for Jagged Alliance 2 and Wizardry 8. Playboy
Classics.
the Mansion back in the PlayStation 2. She designed a tabletop art game about the Holocaust, sending people on the train to a concert.
Yep. And now she did Empire of Sin with John Romero, the guy from Doom and, the famous John Romero. When I saw his name on the credits, I was like, oh, is that the same one? And Pergamene came in and educated me on that. So he's our resident video game expert, right?
So
Yeah.
let me get this straight. She made a tabletop game about sending people to the...
I think she did the art. She designed a tabletop art game. So it's like a game, but art, there's like...
What are the victory points in that game?
No, it's not victory.
I'm like... Oh. I have questions. I have questions.
Any game that it's centered around the Holocaust is questions. I think it was a role-playing game, right? She designed the game. The art part was you didn't know you were participating in something horrible until the end.
Oh,
it's one of those indie sort of
interesting.
Games.
Okay, I just making a game about the Holocaust when it's not just shooting Nazis is weird. Like I can understand maybe like the art piece, but like it's a touchy subject.
I don't want to play any game where I'm not. I just want to be killing Nazis.
I just want to kill Nazis.
I just want to kill Nazis.
Like all games should be prefaced with killing Nazis. As a matter of fact, loading screens should be just shooting Nazis.
So Pergamene, thank you very much, Adam. Holy shit, there is a lot of like indie games that are like this, right?
No, agreed.
Which are about evoking that one emotional reaction or two emotional reactions.
I mean, Maquette. We talk about it on the show. We played it at PAX, and it's right now free on the PSN with PlayStation Plus, whatever, PlayStation Now Plus, whatever the crap is. It's free, so go download it. And but yeah, that's also one of those games where it's all, even though it's got a puzzle element, it's designed to invoke this level of like maybe hurt from a relationship. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I get it.
So in the game, you are an accidental Nazi. Yeah, I think so. We have to look it up. Maybe we should grab a link somewhere and throw it up there. Yeah. But I've played in like convention games that that you think the game theme is one thing and you're halfway through it before you realize it's trying to evoke an angry reaction or trying to evoke a sad reaction, trying to get you to play a certain way so that you're pushing yourself, into uncomfortable moments that you can then explore, right? That's role-playing games can do this for you. It's why they use it in therapy, right?
Right.
Does this for you. So sometimes it's dangerous, right? It might evoke a bad feeling that no one's qualified to help you with, but other times it might be good, right? It helps you sort of overcome something, which is why.
Well, sometimes it puts you in someone else's shoes, right? Like that's the whole
Yeah,
purpose. Like when
that's
you're
exactly
you're
right.
having a problem with something, flipping the entire like.
But I don't want to play any game or watch any movie that makes me think about, oh, okay, well, I understand why that Nazi's a Nazi. Like I don't want to sympathize with the
I don't want
Nazis.
to. It's also the reason why I actually agree with you when I play Star Wars games. Is I don't want to play.
I don't want to play the Imperials.
I don't want to play the Imperials because at some point in time within the long history of the Empire, they know what they're doing.
They've all signed up for it.
They've all signed up for it.
They can go be a smuggler on the edge, right?
Yeah.
They can go be something else. So yeah, I'm with you there. So yeah. So what else we got?
What else
do we want to talk about PAX East? Do we want to have a bummer moment here in the middle?
I mean,
pour a little out.
Let's pour a little out. I got my coffee. I'm feeling better on it.
Pour a little out. Do I have it up there? Right. So here it goes.
You do. So,
PAX East canceled. It's replaced with PAX Online in July. This is. I mean, we kind of knew it was coming. This is from Kotaku here, but it was announced by the what do they call themselves? The PAX East folks. Reed Pop and Penny Arcade.
Yeah.
So we're all canceled there, sadly, which makes me sad. It was our. I mean, I don't want to say it was our annual pilgrimage, but it does imply a sort of spiritual moment or a spiritual rebuilding, which was important to us. We sort of all reconnected. It was one time a year I had all my brothers and college friends and the new friends all put together in the same place to play games. So it was a big, exciting thing for me. So it's a bummer. I knew it was going to happen, and I thought I had already come to terms with the idea that I was not going to go to PAX East this year.
It wasn't until the reality of them actually confirming it that it's now gone. Yeah. And it feels like something was taken away that you weren't going to get anyway.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It's that feeling of like, oh man, that juicy steak out there. Like, I'm not going to get it. It's too expensive, but, it looks good.
And then the store closes.
And the store closes. I'm like,
I never got that steak.
That steak.
It's a bummer. It's a bummer to Boston. I think it's a bummer to all the folks that were involved in the creation, the planning, the making of it, right? Because I'm sure they enjoy going back every year. The enforcers that do it every year love that stuff, right? So it's a bummer for the community that enjoyed that particular
PAX. I mean, if you see my post on our group page on Facebook and onward, I've talked about how PAX is kind of a centering moment for me personally. All through the year dealing with the kids and school and the tedium of not having actually anybody to sit down and play tabletop or game or couch gameplay or anything like that. Going to something like PAX with someone like Pedro and his brothers and friends and just colleagues and people that I meet gives a new perspective to the way maybe I play games. I talk to developers. I get to schmooze a little. I get to kind of feel a little younger as well. It's that we're starting to get older and older. Life comes at you. And PAX.
The fun to ibuprofen quotient are catching up with each other.
Exactly. That Advil, that 2 Advil in the morning doesn't feel as old.
2 more in the afternoon.
Yeah, 2 more in the afternoon. Just I feel like I can burn. That's my motto at PAX. Right, I burn that candle at the both ends. I get there and I'm awake till 4 a.m. And
ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen.
Yeah, there we go.
We need shirts with that. Ibuprofen.
Feels like a boomer joke. I don't think I want to.
Hey, so something that we didn't mention. I see that you got a you got that prototype PS5 Pro back there.
I got the new one. The PlayStation 6 is rocking. You can see it's about table size.
Look at the size of that thing. It's about the right size. It didn't change. I think
insert the disc right there in front. Goes right in.
I think it's a little smaller than the last model.
they put wheels on it, so it
moves
around.
Fair enough.
Thing's a monster. It really is. Xpergamy.
My God. All
Don't
right.
tell anyone though. Shh. We're not supposed to talk about the PlayStation 6.
I mean,
no
don't
hype.
worry.
No hype.
The moment that came out, they already threw away their old PlayStations. All their 5s and onward, they're just they're done with it. They moved it to the trash.
Do we want to talk about this?
I'm gonna jump right in. Let's get it out. Let's air it out. So I warned Pedro at the beginning of the show that I need some moderation, but at the same time, maybe just
I'll give you 5 minutes.
Allow me to kind of go through this. I I guess the best way to put this is, what do you feel? I'm going to make it more of a questionnaire kind of thing before I start going into the rant side of things. Legacy of video games in general. Like, as a company, how do you feel companies should treat their own legacy?
That's interesting. I don't think they're obligated to care.
Right.
Right. Look at George Lucas's Star Wars. Right. How does he treat his legacy? Right. He redesigned all the movies that people love 25 years later. Right. Do y'all have an X card graphic? No, we do not. So I don't know. I think the sort of modern way companies behave is that they're only beholden to their shareholders. Right. Shareholders don't care about legacy. They only care about money. So again, it comes back to capitalism. It's killing us. It's killing our legacy.
It is, but okay. So we've got, and I have to kind of put three different pillars of the three big companies: Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony. Mm-hmm. Let's talk Nintendo for a second. Nintendo, I mean, as blunt as we can put it, is they will sell you their legacy over and over and over again.
Yes. In limited quantities. In
limited quantities till March 31st.
Yep.
I mean, that's their entire drive is to keep selling you the same franchises over and over again. You know, a new Zelda, a remake of Zelda. That new Zelda has a very reminiscent story to the Zeldas of past. Mario's going to reference all the old Marios. Any new franchise that they come out with usually references old franchises, and so on and so forth. And
they're super protective. They will sue anyone who does anything different. They will.
Right. They're protective about their IP. They are mascot driven.
Yep.
I mean, Nintendo. We talked about it before. Nintendo is kind of like Disney in the sense that they've got an image, they've got mascots. I mean, they have a theme park, for God's sakes, nowadays. You know, like they have a whole theme park dedicated to Mario. So that just goes to show that their characters and their IP is important, even as old as their very first mascot, Donkey Kong. You know, if we go further back, I'm sure that we could pull back some of their mascots or IPs that they've used before, and they're still kind of protecting those mascots or re-releasing those games. You know, we got what is it? The Balloon Fight, a very old NES game, has been released multiple times, and that's one of the very first NES games, and it's very simple, but
to hold on to their IP, to protect their IP. Sure, right. I dig it.
And then we'll go to the other side of things, and I'm gonna say Microsoft is kind of the center pillar here. Microsoft really wants to have those mascot moments. They really, really, really force Halo.
It's interesting to say that because I feel like Microsoft only wants that because Microsoft is the truest capitalist of the three. Right. They will pursue the almighty dollar all the time for their shareholders, and have never been anything but that. So I think they will only pursue a mascot as long as they make them money. They've burned mascots before, right? They've discarded mascots before.
I mean, sort of. The only one I could really think of that they've completely wiped their hands of was I think Blinks was one of their first mascots on the original Xbox.
Rest in peace, Clippy.
Well, I mean, we're gonna talk about Microsoft as the entertainment division, not Microsoft as a whole, because not everyone that runs every division of Microsoft can have that. Trust me, Clippy is long gone.
Poor little Albert Clippy.
So I see you're writing a suicide note there. Oh my God. Do you need help with that? No. Microsoft has, Halo, Master Chief has been very front and center about their the face of Xbox. In the more recent years, they've added things like God of War. They now have
God of War.
Not God of War. Gears of War. Sorry, GOW in my head. GOW.
Sure.
Gears of War. The Gears of War franchise, that cog with the skull, has become very synonymous with Xbox in general. For the kids, I guess they're slowly but surely really making that Banjo-Kazooie has a kind of the face of Rare, which is still kind of Nintendo.
Yeah, that's still kind of Nintendo. Like Crash Bandicoot has been around. There's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, Game Pass for the win.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely right, Mark. Yeah, no, I think Microsoft they don't know what they want to do. They haven't had that lightning in a bottle moment.
I'm sorry. Gears of War characters are chibi for guys with trucks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Calling them chibis for tough guys is really good, Pergamy. That's yeah. That's
But
spot on.
let's talk about how Microsoft has handled this.
Same here. Love Gears of War. No shame.
Now we're gonna go to Sony. Sony, they have mascots to a degree. If we go as far back as the original PlayStation, the original big PlayStation franchises were Metal Gear Solid, which doesn't belong to them.
Right.
Crash Bandicoot, which doesn't belong to them.
Right.
Tomb Raider, which doesn't belong to them.
Right.
Parappa the Rapper does, but I mean that's.
We might be the only people in the room that remember Parappa the Rapper. I make jokes about Parappa the Rapper sometimes, and people look at me like I'm insane.
What?
Like I've made
Punch!
up a kick
Punch
and the onion cry.
Dude, yeah. Come on, man. But I mean that's a mascot. That is a character that belongs to Sony.
He had this stupid
Yeah,
90s
he's
hat.
flat. It's great. He's got the beanie. Mad rhymes, yo. Dude, Parappa the Rapper.
Punch. Kick.
Punch. Yeah, exactly. No, but again, that belongs to them. Ratchet and Clank does now, but that's PlayStation 2 and onward.
There was like Spear of the Dragon, right? Wasn't that Sony?
Spyro, but it's not. That's still part of the Crash Bandicoot family.
Got it. Okay,
and so that's why we got Spyro on Xbox now.
All right.
So, in the modern days, PlayStation 3 and onward, we now have, or 2 and 3 onward, we now have God of War.
Look at this deep cut.
Yeah, dude. Dude, that's right. The sequel, right?
No,
Parappa got nothing.
It's
No,
like deep
I get it.
cut.
I think my biggest anger with Sony is that
Yowza.
they've got these mascots that they don't really. The franchises don't get used very often. They forget them. And this is speaking to a lot of companies. We got Capcom that doesn't know what to do with a lot of their franchises. We've got Konami that is just like. But this is Sony we're talking about. They write, they have their first party games, and we just don't get consistency out of the way they treat their characters and their IPs.
All right.
So the news for this week, the confirmation, we talked about it last week, was that Sony was killing off their online store, the PlayStation Network for that's their movies. That was their discontinue their store movies. No one was buying the movies and renting stuff from them anyway.
Sure.
But they're killing
Nobody was
off.
buying their movies for. There we go. Bring it up.
They're killing off their PlayStation 3, PSP, and Vita store closure, and this has got me a little angrier than I want to be.
Sure.
Only because. Here's my thought process, and I'm gonna kind of just go into my head for a little bit and kind of verbal diarrhea this.
Dangerous.
But Sony's a technology company. Sony has constantly been selling us their consoles with the newest tech, right? Starting with the PlayStation 2. That PlayStation 2 was expensive because they wanted to sell us a DVD player.
Yep.
So people bought it, and it became pretty much everyone's DVD player from the very beginning. The PlayStation 3 was $5.99 because it was also one of the first Blu-ray players that everyone had in their household.
PlayStation 3 is incidentally when I switched.
Right.
I had a 2 and did not buy the 3 because it was too expensive, and I switched to the Xbox.
It was expensive, and people switched to the Xbox. They had to redesign it for price, but it had Wi-Fi, it had a hard drive. They were competing directly with the Xbox at the time. So you had a hard drive. You had a hard drive for digital content. You had internet connectivity. You had big usage.
Is that our bot?
That's one of our bots. It's my Streamlabs bot. I didn't even. Whoa! I didn't even realize he was on.
Slow down there, Streamlabs.
Slow down there.
Minor infraction.
No. So here's Sony constantly moving on with the technology here. I've never seen it do that.
My bad. Too many counts. Thank you for your apology.
So here we are in 2021. They've sold us a bill of goods. They've moved on with this idea that, hey man, we're going to put bigger and bigger hard drives on here. By the way, we're going to have digital store. We're going to have the PSN. We're going to sell you a PS5 with no drive nowadays. By the way, expect our stores to be closed in the future. Which means that you can't buy content for that console anymore. This would be less damning or less angering if all of those games could be purchased still and played on newer consoles. But you can't. You can't buy certain PlayStation 3 games now in the store and play them on your PS4 or PS5. They're stuck on the PS3.
Yep.
There's a lot of developers, indie developers, friends of the show, friends that we have talked to at conventions that make a lot of games that only ported to the PS3 that are stuck in this store, and that is their source of income. A lot of them have ported over me to Steam and whatnot, but we're talking about there's a select set of games that exist only in this marketplace. The Vita, a dead handheld. Did you know that there's still developers releasing games this year digitally on the Vita?
So I mean, I don't know what Sony's sales were, but this is a business decision. They must have seen that they weren't making money on this store.
I think
they were losing money. They must have been losing money.
But see, that's what makes me angry is the fact that we've got a storefront that was designed to fail. Like, I don't know the logistics. I work in software. I work in application analysts. I know how a back end works, in the sense that, you know, software is sitting on a server. I guess maybe these old consoles have a specific encryption that's talking to this version of the store versus version 3.0 of the versus 4.0. But there's got to be a way for them to release a final patch to these consoles to touch that new store and allow you to keep purchasing content on these consoles. I just can't imagine that they don't have the time or the energy to kind of just do that. I get it's money.
It's all money. Always money.
But there is tons and tons of content on these consoles, and you're essentially relegating these consoles to
dustbins.
Dustbins.
Yeah.
They're trash. The PlayStation 3, the PSP.
Roll says, hate to be the one to say it, especially since it's the newest console he has. Wow, or they have. But why in the first place the developer's still coming out with games for a 15-year technology? I can actually answer this. I'm not a retro gamer, like as passionate as Joe is, but I've talked to a bunch of designers and folks who still design for Nintendo. A lot of it's the challenge of it, Rolls, right? Yeah. You can design a massive open world game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla for the Xbox, new Xbox Series S.
You're given all the power in the world.
The power in the world. But what about this little tiny
power.
Thing?
Yes.
How much can I stuff in this little tiny space that I can never update, that I can't put out anything like that, right? So I think that's really where a developer just sits down and goes, can it run Doom? Can I put Doom on this, right? So that's the kind of thought process folks have, right? I won't either. I think this is about the never sell their PlayStation 3, right? So that was Rudy Buff said in the
So Tommy, you friend of the show, friend of me. I know you're a developer. I think you know what it means to challenge yourself as a developer when it comes down to you're given a specific box to work in. Individuals that are like, for example, making homebrew games for like the NES or the Sega Saturn, a very difficult system to kind of work on, and they give themselves this box and they go, how much can I push this? I mean, we got new games on Dreamcast that look amazing, and you're like, why do it? Why not?
Right. Because it's there, right? It's the old
a system is only obsolete because the company tells us that it's obsolete, but that doesn't mean that the content isn't good still.
Yeah. There goes Tommy Doya. This is why I still write for older consoles. The challenge of memory limitations, bare metal to squeeze the max out, forces you to write cleaner code because you got it. Every bit counts.
Every bit counts. Every little thing counts. We talked about this many episodes ago. There was a guy that wrote a piece of code. He said, can he make a game in a QR code?
Yeah, that's right. And he did.
He did. He wrote a game of Snake in a QR code. But to do that is he talked about how optimizing with the limitations of the space, the limitations of what he could do. So it was about using your camera, pulling it, taking a picture, and it downloading the entire game completely. Mm-hmm. Executable and everything. He talks about the limitations of like all of that. So again,
that's back in like episode 101. I don't know. I'm making up numbers, but we talked about this a while back. So yeah. And so Rolls, it wasn't about correcting you. It's about informing you, right? That's why it's important. And I think I don't want to wrap up Joe's rant here, but I think that's why it's important that the PlayStation 3 have a way to get games.
And again, this has nothing to do with the fact that if you buy a game right now on PlayStation 3, on your PSP or your Vita, you will still be able to download it. The point is let's say down the road you're like having a conversation with someone and you're like, oh hey, did you ever play that that remake of Captain Commando for Capcom. You're like, which one? The 3D one? No, they made a 2D style, 2D 3D one that was digital only. Oh, cool. Where can I get that? Oh, it's on PlayStation 3. Oh, wait. You can't play it anymore. There's no physical copy. And as soon as that store closed, that game is gone.
Well, it's not gone. It's just not available on that store. Right?
It's not available anywhere.
Well, I mean, they're not destroying their servers. They're not nuking the data points, right? The data's there somewhere.
But you can only play it if you own it. So if someone told you about the game right now, or let's say this is September of this year, and someone went, hey, check out, I didn't know they made that game. I'm a really big fan of that old one when I used to play
Better
it.
catch a YouTube video, right?
Right. That's the key. It's like that, or you have to resort to piracy. You have to go and find a hacked PlayStation 3. Go find a download of the game and find a way to play it. That's what sucks. It creates... There's no reason... They're leaving money on the table.
Well, they're leaving a very tiny amount of money on the table.
There is still someone out there that will purchase a game.
It's interesting to me that folks haven't really thought about the long tail, right? And Netflix revolutionized the video rental world by saying, we've got everything. If you want it, we'll send it to you, right? They stop having to optimize like Blockbuster in their space and getting rid of tapes and DVDs by managing that long tail. Amazon Prime does it as well. They've got Drek, miles and miles of things you'd never watch. But then one day you're like, you know what? I do feel like watching Beastmaster. And you'll just pick it up and watch it, right? So that long tail is great.
And then you got that one engineer going...
Yeah.
Someone watched that? What the hell? We were going to delist that after 30 days if no one watched it. Someone watched it. What? Now it's shot back up to the front of the queue again.
Hey, Gary, I lost a bet. Here's your $5, right? Like, totally. But so it's weird to me that Sony doesn't at all.
Rudy?
Yeah, and they should allow developers to go directly.
Thank you.
Why wouldn't they? Well, because they don't get their cut, right? They don't get their cut.
Yeah. Exactly. Open the store up. Make it so that, I don't know. There's got to be a better way than just closing it down. Shutting it down.
If I have a PlayStation 3 game, this is it right here. It's on a USB. And I said, hey, Joe, here you got a PlayStation 3. You're a retro gamer. Here, try this out. You couldn't try it out off the USB?
No, because the copy on the USB that you made has got DRM. And so the license is tied to your PlayStation Now account, your PSN account. So if you gave me a copy of that game in some way, shape, or form, and I plugged it into it wouldn't load. It wouldn't even show up. I couldn't play it.
What if I developed it?
No.
Without DRM?
I would have to have a developer system or some sort of Q&A system that allows you to play signed code that is not signed by the PSN, but maybe written by the SDK. I
assume you have to put a chip in your PlayStation 3 or something to.
You have to soft mod it, but yeah. There you go. That's exactly it. I mean, look. I'm not saying that
I had a modded PlayStation, right? I had a modded PlayStation, and we all did back in the day, right?
My PlayStation 3 is modded. My PlayStation 3 is modded. My Vita is modded. My PSP is modded. But honestly, I'm not doing it just to play pirated games. I'm doing it because there are games on there. A good example is...
You can use a hack PS3 with tools and such.
A debug box.
So essentially, we've got a corporation that doesn't want to manage the long tail, so they killed it. And now they're turning their fans, players, and developers into criminals. Right, which is an interesting sort of business model, but they do it all the time, right? We have tons of laws on the books just to protect the corporation that we cheat all the time.
I want to cap this with kind of the counter side of things, which is like, and again, I hate pulling this card. I hate doing this because I don't want to seem like one company's doing a better job than the other, but they are. Here's Microsoft's side of things. Microsoft is a software company. They are a computer company, software company. They from the very beginning saw that the Xbox network, as they're calling it now, will be just that. It'll always have kind of this marketplace. And so right now I could go on my PlayStation 4, I'm going to call it, the Series X. This is the 4th generation of the Xbox. I can go on there and buy a game from the very first generation Xbox. Nothing is stopping me. That not all their games are there, but as they progress, they're adding more and more, and they're basically keeping this entire like like library going where
It's because Microsoft understands the long tail. They understand the profit in offering something for $5.99.
But they didn't make. They're making their system. That's kind of the other thing is they're making their online system upgradable from the very beginning. They're Microsoft obviously is doing upgrades on the back end, security wise, so that they don't get hacked, etc. But they're not going. You know what? That's old. That store is old. All the content on that store, it's on the old version of the store. We're not going to move it over. We're just going to start over from scratch. Like they're bringing it all over. They're migrating it. They're a technology.
I mean, sometimes
company.
they do Vista, Windows 10. Like we've done, make it from scratch, but they figured it out.
Right, but you can still play. You can still play Space Cadet Pinball on a Windows 10. Like
you got to really tune your speed settings. But yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
XCOM on my new computer, and those aliens were moving way too fast. I could not see where they were coming from.
There's programs for that.
Yeah, no, I know.
To slow you down, but yes, it's just mind baffling to me. This isn't a small company. This is Sony. They're a technology company, a company that has been selling me the bleeding edge from the very beginning.
They're a hardware company. They don't give a shit about the software.
Right.
I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? They're great. Yeah, we could sell as long as the software keeps selling the hardware. We're fine with that. But once your PlayStation 3 sales drop to nothing, why would they support the store, right? Space Cadet Pinball. Yeah, I know. Welcome to the Mid-Geek Crisis, where we are the deep cut.
I mean, I just want to play ski free, right? You know, going down, getting that Yeti coming at me. I mean, like, I can do that. Like, I feel like I can do that. Again,
it's a Larry Bird versus Dr. J on the Commodore 64. All right, let's just break the backboard.
No, look again. Microsoft is not without its faults. A good example is...
They all are.
Game Pass is fantastic, but I know what I'm getting. I'm paying a monthly or yearly fee to play games I don't own.
It's for Netflix of games.
But I know what I'm getting. I can't be angry at Netflix when the particular series gets pulled off of there.
But I am.
Right.
I'm really angry, but yes, I'm with you.
I know what I'm.
We
getting.
understand we're getting. Yes, we're going in there.
Sony. I mean, at some point, I don't know if I would have. I guess my point is I don't know if I would have chosen Sony as my go-to system if they had told me at the very beginning of putting big hard drives and buying games on digital landscape. Going, by the way, you're not going to be able to go back to this console in 4 years from now because we're going to turn off the store.
Yeah.
The technology's still there. It could still connect to the Wi-Fi. It's not like Wi-Fi routers won't accept it.
My Nintendo doesn't work on the TVs I own anymore, right? So there is definitely...
that's where the community comes into play, right? And that's
that's what hackers...
I know. The argument can kind of eat itself. It can go back around. I'm just...
If there's a need, and that's one of the strengths of capitalism, everybody. If there's a need, someone will figure out how to satisfy it and make money off of it, right? So there's going to be a need for this. Someone will figure out how to satisfy it.
If Sony came out in middle of summer and went, by the way, where all the PlayStation 1 classics you had purchased on your PlayStation 3, on your Vita, on your PSP will show up on my PS5, I'd feel better about it. If they were like, oh, by the way, a lot of those digital games...
what would happen is that you'd have 150 games that you're never going to play on your PlayStation 5. Jeff.
But that's my point is it's not me. It's the fact that right now, and I talk about legacy, I preface this entire conversation with legacies because right now, as we speak, the only way to buy and play a PlayStation 1 game is through that version of the store. That one that they're turning off. If I want to go and buy a digital copy of The Adventures of Tronbon, which is a very expensive physical game, $400, $500 for the disc, they have it for $14.99 on the store. So obviously, I already own it and I can re-download it. But if someone else goes, by the way, I played that game when I was a kid on my PlayStation. I want to play it. Can I just buy it digitally? No. I mean, you could, but starting in August, you can't.
Right. So the message here to everybody: go get the games you always wanted to play that you don't even know if you want to play them in the future and buy.
That's
them
the thing. It's that moment of like, oh man, I'm gonna have to spend all this money on games that I might want to play or might not.
This is where we once again show the fundamental differences between Joe and me. Joe's worried that he might be disappointed in the future when he wants to buy a game that he hasn't played in a while.
It's FOMO, baby.
I know I will be disappointed. So I said 0 expectations in the future. That's where we are. So all right,
man.
so let's talk about something that's very personal for you, and I appreciate it. Right? Let's talk about something very personal for me for a second here.
Go for it, please.
Let's put this up here. I don't know how to approach this topic, but I feel like I need to get it out. Here we go. Kickstarter community head quits, apologizes for controversial role-playing game project. I won't get into the details of this particular thing going on, right? But basically, a person who misbehaved in the community was canceled, right? Whatever feelings we have about cancel culture, it happened. The Kickstarter community had put out a Kickstarter that brought this person kind of back, but kind of bungled it, right? Didn't let the other creators know that were involved, didn't really advertise it, put it a mealy-mouthed apology, and the campaign was canceled, and then this person left the company. The part that I want to talk about, and I don't know how to talk about it fully, is I know this person personally.
Yeah, you've broken bread with this person.
I've broken bread with this person. This is a person I've eaten with. I knew him when I lived in New York City. He was a strong and important part of the indie game community in New York City.
He's been at a PAX or two, right?
I've introduced you to him.
Yeah, I know.
We
sat down and played games with him.
Yeah.
I remember.
So and you know, like he was always a guy that I knew, right? We weren't friends, we weren't tight, but we definitely I was happy to see him every year at PAX, right? I was interested in his projects. If you go back far enough, I might actually find my government name as a playtester in a few of his actual role-playing games that he's published, right? Torchbearer might be one of them. Mouse Guard is definitely one of them, right? So it's a weird feeling when this happens so close, right? And you definitely there's a part of me that really wants to go out there and defend him. You know, come out and be like, hey, he didn't mean this. It's cool, right? But I don't know all the details. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. I don't know what's going on in the scene. At the same time, I also, I want to support the folks that were hurt by this, right? So I'm kind of torn. I'm torn. I'm weirded out by this odd feeling. This person's not even a friend, Joe, right? He's not like you. I'd be heartbroken if it was you, right? But it's a guy that I knew that was an extremely influential part of my role-playing game experience, right? I would not run D&D the way I ran D&D if I had not played his games and played games with him and the way he ran it and the way the community he built around him in New York City ran these games. So I don't have a conclusion here, right? I feel bad about it, and at the same time,
here's one of those things where
do I go? What's my responsibility even to the community when it comes to these things happen?
We talk about this a lot. It's gotten harder and harder to kind of approach this version of the conversation as we progress in the social media cancel culture / world that we live in. Separating the art from the man or the woman, the human from the art that they create.
Sure.
That's very hard for me to do. It's very easy to say that from outside, but when it's a piece of art that specifically, or that you enjoy specifically, and then that person,
I know the person.
It hurts, and it makes it hard to separate them at that point. That person's influence on that game. I mean, you could play that game and see that person's influence in the creation.
I've got at least 4 of his games back there on my game shelf, right? So
yeah. So we have to be better. We had kind of a conversation like this many years ago regarding PAX.
Oh yeah, right, because of the stupid stuff that Penny Arcade did.
Yeah. I mean, they had their own growing experience. I came to this conclusion. This is me. I don't expect anyone else watching or listening or whatever to come to the same conclusion that I did. We live in a cancel culture society, and sometimes it's okay. It needs to happen. People need to be told that that's not okay.
Right.
People should not benefit or make money off of bad things they've done. Especially people for example, League of Legends. I'm very angry about that company.
They're forever going to make money.
Forever going to make money, considering that the entire toxicity of that entire company. Mm-hmm. That rubs me the wrong way. But on the flip side of things is things like PAX, for example. people have to be able to apologize. We have to, and again, this isn't, again, I don't know the full details of this individual. I'm just speaking in general. We as a culture, we want people to be better. We don't want people to do bad things, right? And so when someone does something bad and we immediately like just rip them apart, and then the moment that they come back with some sort of like, hey, you're right, I'm sorry, how do I make this better? We as a community should go, okay, how do you make this better? But we don't. We double down. We rip them apart. We make sure that we stomp on them.
Right? There are vocal folks that don't. And vocal folks
but I mean, the damage is done. Yeah. The damage. It's not about the cancel culture. I mean, whatever we feel about it is. I'm talking about this particular aspect of it. Like, once something like this hits, how do we as fans kind of approach it? And we have to kind of go, I mean, like, we want to enjoy things, but we don't. Like, I get it. I mean, there's musical artists. There's a movie, like, for watching any movie with Kevin Spacey.
It's hard for me to watch movies with Kevin Spacey.
Right.
And I love Seven. It's one of my favorite movies out
right.
there.
I mean, like that's exactly, like, here's a perfect example. I mean, Baby Driver is a movie that I really like, and that movie came out right.
I never met Kevin Spacey, though.
Right. We never met Kevin Spacey, so that it's harder, and I get it. I'm just stating like a very specific like. It
was a really good article by Gita, I think it's Gita Jackson,
Gita
today
Jackson.
for Motherboard about some similar discussions happening in the America fandom right now that touches on some of this. Definitely recommend you read. Cautious, I will check it out then, right?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting. I don't know. It's an interesting discussion. I honestly I feel bad about it as well, right? This guy went to work for Kickstarter in their games division before Kickstarter even had a games division, right? Think about how many board games have come out and role-play games have come out because of Kickstarter, right? Think about Sentinels, big box games.
Sentinels of the Multiverse, one of my
Zombicide, all those big box games.
One of my Dragoon, man, like one of my favorite games that I've been playing. I mean, I've kickstarted all
Fire
three.
Tower. Every time we go to PAX East, we kickstart a new game.
Right. I mean, we do it because we like the developers. We meet the developers.
Gloomhaven. Here's another great one. Gloomhaven, right? So
that game revolutionized the entire board game industry.
He was there for all of that, right? He probably brought in $2 billion to Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
Like the amount of money he's done in the last 10 years. So, and money doesn't matter, right? I think the contribution to the community is what I'm talking about, right? So,
that's it.
And his behavior was poor. Let's acknowledge that. He didn't commit the bad act, right? His bad act was bringing this person back. Right, so there's something to be said there where does the line start and where does it end? And I'm still processing it. I'm still thinking about it. Right, we got to figure out how to let people make mistakes. Right, imagine a world where you're not allowed to make a single mistake.
That's it, man. That's nailhead right there.
And I fully acknowledge. I say that as a person who has made a lot of effing mistakes. Right, God, I don't want everyone to come out here. I think in this case it's tough because he was for cultivating community stuff for Kickstarter, right? So there should be repercussions. I'm not unacknowledging that. I don't know that the
I don't know how
the dogpiling is the proper way to manage it. I don't know what it is.
I know what
I want cancel culture to just cancel Twitter. That's really what I want. I want the whole thing canceled. But I'm an old man, right? I shake my fist at the world all the time.
Yeah, Twitter can be a horrible.
It's always horrible. No, it is. It's rare that it provides me any benefits. Every time I go out there, I get some vampiric jolly all the time, and I realize that like I'm addicted to that bad feeling.
I guess. I mean, I have, especially with the account we use for the Mid-Geek Crisis. I feel like I've cultivated enough where I don't tend to get my feed isn't full of any toxicity. When I do run into someone like that, I can block them. I can move them out. And
no, not directed towards you. Doesn't the algorithm often provide you what's getting the most hits? And a lot of time, what's getting the most hits are the controversial hot takes and
honestly,
I
agree with you, but I have really my trending tab is not even there. Like, I
See, I
have cultivated the news feed enough
I'm still bad at it.
That I just don't get it, and I get it. My personal account is the opposite. So my personal account, like I want to use Twitter as like, oh, what's the news? What's the weather? What's this random celebrity?
What are my stupid friends saying? That's
stupid
always
friends?
what.
Yeah, and then what? No, I don't want to listen to any of that. And then that's where you doom scroll, right? Yeah. And I don't want that.
And then you start clicking on links. You're like, who the F is this jackass? And
I feel. It's information overload, right? Social media in general is always is very much like that, and I preach this a lot. People always want to hate on the social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, etc., and that's fine. But we also have to use the tools the way that they were designed when they designed all of these cultivating like filters.
That is the argument of the NRA, Joe.
That
is the exact argument of the NRA.
What? Use the guns?
It's not the guns, bro.
Oh no.
That is the exact.
There's no. It's totally the guns, and it's totally Facebook, and it's totally Twitter, and it's all that.
Like personal Twitter is fun. Corporate Twitter is a challenge. No, it's all true. At the end of the day, right? I
exactly.
Empathize. Yeah, they and they profit from it, right?
Yes.
That's the clutch part. At the end of the day, I empathize, sympathize. I
mean, our previous commander.
I want to hug this dude, right, and be like, man, I'm sorry this happened to you, but also like you made some bad choices, right? That's really where I want to be, but we're not friends, so I wouldn't do that. He needs to navigate his own problems, but like it's also like, well, what if I see him at PAX East? What do we do? What's the interaction? I don't want to get rid of my games. I have a lot of good memories associated with those games, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, how do you navigate all this stuff? How do you figure this stuff out? How do you talk to your friends about it? Right. I have one friend who is also close to him, closer than I ever was. So you got to figure out where to go from there, right? How does the community of close friends to this guy grow past this? Where do you go?
Well,
there's no guides.
We can look back at the person's legacy, right?
But you know, I don't want to make that argument for Lovecraft, right? So it's sort of like I know it when I see it, kind of thing. Probably get rid of your I only have one. Okay, I only have one. Two.
Gygax.
Pergamy, you're always there for the reality check.
Always there for the reality check, for
love
sure.
It, dude. That's fantastic.
For sure. What are you playing right now? Besides, of course, Empire of Sin. Have you moved on to something else? Have you started?
Yeah, so I'm pretty close to beating Ikenfell. I think I'm pretty close to beating Undertale. I'm pretty close to being what is that game called? Sanoa Hellblade. That one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think I'm like a third of the way through Medium. I'm not quite sure. So I've got a lot of irons in the fire, as they say. No one says that.
I'm about to start. I was supposed to start this weekend. Weekend life got ahead of me, but I'm going on a small mini vacay for the holidays this time around, so I'm going to sit down and play. But I picked up the
hard copy right there. He's going to show us Monster Hunter Rise. Okay, Monster Hunter Rise.
So
I could not get into the online game, so
of course I had to get the sweet Meebo. Sweet Meebo, of course.
You're gonna have to build shelves for your shelves. I want to be clear here.
Sexy beast.
So many plastic bits. Yeah. I'm wondering what's the stats on that bad boy. What's the?
He's
it's pretty cool. All right, folks. Let's call it a night. There's never a piece of plastic that Joe won't get on the shelf. I love it. Yeah,
that's fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
Speaking of plastic, I got my
Oh, all right. Let's close out on some good news. Let's close out on some creating stuff. Let's do that.
So, yeah, this is an interesting one.
Tell us the problem. Tell us what you did. Tell us how much the community rejoices. Let's do that.
I mean, so this is an interesting one. This particular, I had a buddy from a group reach out, and he had posted a quandary right onto the community. He was like, "Hey, does anyone work with 3D printers or whatnot?" And we're like, I sent him a message like, yeah, I got it. What's up? And he told me that apparently for the community for repairing these, there's this little plastic ring.
That blue part right there.
That blue part right there. But it's usually black, and it's a plastic ring that holds down this boot. This kind of like boot. If you don't have it on there, those kind of retaining ring.
You can pull it right off and stick it on your brother's head.
Right.
Get the unicorn.
These controllers are 40 years old now. Let's be honest here. It's 40 years, 35 to 40 years old.
The originals. There are of course.
Wait, no, these are the originals.
People still making controllers that are compatible today.
The original ones, that ring when you're taking it apart to repair whatever, the plastic has gotten very brittle. It's got these clips that you kind of can push out and pop the ring off. It doesn't matter. You can barely touch them, and the tabs break off. And if the tabs break off, then it's no longer a retaining clip, right? So he was telling me that apparently you can get replacement parts for the boot. You can get replacement parts for the plastics on the inside, for boards, like everything except that ring.
Probably because taking apart old controllers, you break that ring all the time. If you're
right.
Really
So I thought it was interesting that no one had designed it. So he measured the part. We went through some design process back and forth, including someone else in the community, and we got it. We were able to design one, and
Amazing.
He sent me one of the final revisions, and I threw it on my 3D printer, and we got it going, and it first print worked out, and it clipped in just fine. So I left the blue one on.
It actually looks pretty cool with the blue.
Yeah. So I mean, I was telling him that we should make them in orange and whatnot, but the files are out there. They're on Thingiverse now, and anyone that is interested in repairing or whatever now gets to have a part designed by a few of us. So I think it's pretty cool.
Thursday nights, 9:30 Eastern, like God intended. Thank you, Adam. Good call back in the show, right? I mean, that's pretty awesome. Here's very nice. Thank you, Mark. That's exactly what the community should do. There's a problem in the retro community, and folks sort of
I thought that was. I guess by the end of it, it felt good being able to go. Hey, by the way, now there's this part that exists out in the open now. For
next
anybody.
week, I expect you to somehow 3D print a PlayStation 3 store in which everyone can buy their games.
I'll work on that.
He's looking behind him like, I think I got something. It's Wines.
I can do it.
It's fantastic, folks. Again, we got 3D print is hurtful.
As I was telling,
first show.
I think I contributed more to Atari's legacy than the Atari VCS.
Also hurtful. Also hurtful. Pretty neat part, right? If you got a little controller, you can go out there and you can 3D print it and repair your jammer.
Oh, God.
I love the part, and then it's on Thingiverse. Look at that.
Yep.
Look it up. Cool.
Folks, thank you so much. It's I'm into more coffee. There will be some more streaming involved. I will probably sit down and start my run of Monster Hunter live on stream, and awesome. We'll go from there, folks.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, as always. And,
Rose, Adam, Pergamy, Mark, thanks for jumping on. All the folks that jumped on and chatted with us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, do all the social media stuff you have to do. Pergamy.
Absolutely.
Check it out. Bernie Sanders.
Our old man will look at us and
number one fan, Bernie Sanders. He loves us.
He loves us. He shakes.
We provide a service for free. End the show.
Oh my God, bro! We provide a service for free and get nothing in return but you guys.
Be kind, everyone.
Be kind, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good holiday. If you're gonna travel, please wear a mask. Take care.
Be kind.